Alright guys, so today we're going to be working on how to retell a memory and then put that memory into a narrative, which is basically just a little story about your own life. So, as you guys remember, we have been reading In Our Mother's House by Patricia Polacco for the past couple weeks. And today we're going to take a look at a couple passages that tell different memories, and then we're going to give my own example of memories, and then we're going to write stories. Alright, so the first little bit we have is the memory of the treehouse. One of the best things about our mother's house was the treehouse that we built in the backyard. Practically the entire neighborhood helped us. It all started with Will, who, like Marmy, was always building things. One Saturday, he found some plans for a treehouse in a magazine and went to her. It took several weekends to finish, but the Saturday that we did finish it, everyone stood in a circle around the treehouse. Marmy and Mima broke a bottle of soda over the door jamb and named the treehouse Thistle House. That night, all of us kids got to sleep there. Even the Lochner kids were invited, but their parents came and got them. They barely spoke to us, just pulled them down the driveway. They just plain didn't like us, I guess. I couldn't quite understand why. We always tried to be respectful and friendly the way our mothers taught us. Now the second memory that we're going to talk about is when their grandparents come. The kitchen in our mother's house was the center of everything that was happening in our household. The kitchen doorway was where us kids got measured each year. Mima and Marmy's handwriting was still there even now. And all of our family holidays began in the kitchen. Our grandparents, uncles, and aunts, and cousins usually came for the weekend. Our Italian grandpa, our no-no, was in charge of cooking. We all loved gnocchi. And the final memory we're going to talk about is their block party. The day of our big block party arrived. Each of the houses on the street had to invent some sort of game in their front yard. The McGuires across the street had a landmine contest. A blindfolded player had to pick his way past marshmallow mines while a caller warned him about where they were. The Goldsteins had a penny toss on saucers. The Brooks family had a dunk tank. A lot of fathers got dunked that day. The Abdullahs had a fishing booth. I think our family had the best game of all, a miniature golf course. Will, Marmy, and I put it all together. We lashed together the old rain gutters with traps and obstacles and had to be put around in order to get to the end, which was a flower pot, buried on the top. It was Marmy's great idea. Okay, so based off of those examples, we now kind of know what a memory is. It's just kind of retelling what something happened in your life, like a good thing that happened in your life that you can tell people later on. So for my example, we're going to be talking about my memory of going to Disneyland when I was a kid. So on here, we're going to be creating a chart about our memories. So our first step, we're going to draw a big bubble. Just like this. And then inside, on the very, very top, we're going to be writing what our memory is. Going to Disneyland. And then underneath it, we're going to have specific examples of that memory. So I can say where I stayed at. So I stayed at the Disneyland Resort. Who I went with my cousins. They're all my girl cousins in my family. I can say what I did there. So I met the princes and the princesses and I got to go on fun rides. And for the last one, maybe I got to stay up late and watch movies with my cousins. Okay, so here we kind of have an organized chart from our memory and from the memory in general and then specific examples. So now that we have our ideas clearly laid out, we can go ahead and move into writing our narrative. So the very first step of your narrative is to have an introduction. So our introduction can be something simple like just giving an overview of what you're going to be talking about. So I can say, when I was 7 years old, I went to Disneyland with my cousins. We did a lot of fun things, and it was a great memory. Okay, the next step is going to be to do so the first thing we're going to do is highlight each bullet point so we can say the first thing I did was stay at the resort. So you're going to get into the body of the narrative. So body, this can be maybe 2 to 3 sentences per memory maybe. So if you have 4 memories, it's going to be 2 sentences per memory. So or per example of the memory. So I can say, I have a lot of cousins. So I can say, I have a lot of cousins, and we all decided to go to Disneyland one day for the weekend. And then you continue writing your 2 to 3 sentences for each specific example that you came up with. And then finally, you're going to want to do a conclusion. Which can only be maybe 3 sentences total, no more than that. So a conclusion is just something to wrap up your entire story, to kind of summarize what you talked about, and then just put it into something really simple. So I can say, I had so much fun at Disneyland with my cousins. Got to meet so many people. My favorite part was staying up late. Okay, so this is kind of going to be our outline for the narrative. So we're going to have our introduction, our body, and our conclusion. It's going to stay up on the board just for reference, so when you guys go back to your seats, you're going to be making it yourself. So the first thing I'm going to want you guys to do is go back to your seats. You're going to have 2 pieces of paper. You're going to create your own little bubble with your specific memory, and then I want to give you guys at least 4 different parts of your memory. So 4 different examples or ideas about your memory that you remember. So if you have 4 examples, and then after that, you're gonna come talk to me for approval, and then you're gonna move into your narrative. So remember, like I just did, you're gonna be writing these and putting them into the narrative form. Is there any questions? All right, so your tissue papers are already back at your table. We're gonna start dismissing now. If you are wearing pink shirts, please go ahead and go. And then next, you guys can have blue shirts, followed by everybody else. All right, good job, guys.